Timeout. Sorry.
Oh, man.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Innovative Practices, where you'll get 3 quick tips, 2 resources, and a weekly challenge. And opening up, last week, we talked about opening up your classroom and student-to-student collaboration. I'm Greg Zorbas with Inspired Classroom. And Kathleen, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm just fine. Top of the morning and happy first day of spring to everybody. It's that renewal green springtime in March. So if you're watching this in January, just think of spring. And today we are going to talk about a tech spotlight. We like to do this once a month, where we talk about exciting tech tools. And the tech tool we're going to talk about today is Google Earth and how to use it in the classroom, which seems like a good thing to talk about in the spring. And Greg, you're a longtime social studies teacher, so I'm sure you've battled the map reading and using maps in the classroom and all of that. So tell us a little bit about what experiences you've had with that and how using Google Earth has helped or not.
Well, the cool thing about Google Earth, as we progressed in our classroom, and I say we because some of my colleagues and I who were using video to team teach and co-teach and things like that, as we progressed with that, it got to a point where videos, we didn't even show videos in our class because they weren't interactive. And now you have that same opportunity with maps, Google Earth maps. And Google Earth, you can go and look at maps and get the data and get those kids looking at places, and it can be interactive and even live in some situations. So it's really cool. And the most recent experience I've had was with us at Inspired Classroom and the Golden Eagle Challenge that we do with MPG Ranch. And I was fascinated that one of the live sessions that we had, where we learned that by looking at the map and looking at the tracking data of the eagles on Google Earth, we learned that the eagles were taking a 2 or 3 week stopover in a place on their way north as they were migrating. And we figured out why that was happening. And it was because we could see the track on Google Earth. We could see exactly where they were stopping. And the biologists knew that in that particular part of Canada where they were stopping was calving season for cattle. And the eagles were finding an abundance of food there as those afterbirths and things and whatnot. And so it was just phenomenal. It was just fascinating that we could learn that from those live maps.
A lot of information in Google Earth, and a lot of different careers and professions are using Google Earth as part of what they do. So that's pretty interesting. I know we also have some things, some curriculum offerings around learning about different countries. And we've used Google Earth to explore China and to explore Brazil. And another thing that the students learn, and it brings up some good classroom discussion, is why are there a lot more places that you can zoom into in, let's say, Germany than there are in China? And that's because of international policy with satellites and laws and so forth. So it can really spark a lot of interesting discussion. So we're going to talk about our three quick tips. And how about Google Earth? Oh my goodness, it seems a little overwhelming. Greg, what would you advise people to do to start with using that?
Well, I think the first tip is just take some time and practice. And oftentimes as teachers, we it kind of depends on what kind of person you are. Myself, I like to just go click around. So that first tip is to just go click around and take some time and investigate what Google Earth has to offer. And then tip number 2 is kind of along the same line. If you're not that kind of person that likes to click around yourself and investigate, then really take advantage of Google Earth support, because they have a lot of really good support and projects that are available that you can use. And there are a lot of teachers out there who are Google teachers who have posted and a lot of good tips and things like that. So that would be tip number 2. And then a third tip is kind of a sneaky way to get yourself more familiar with it, is have your students do a short assignment and have them use Google Earth and let them do the investigating and come up with a little short presentation about someplace they want to travel to or someplace they want to learn more about, and have them click around and poke around and find out all the different fun things that are available on Google Earth, and then have some short presentations to your whole class so everybody gets to share in those.
I love that. And, you know, anytime we can get the students to do more work than we're doing, I'm all for that, right?
Yeah.
Who should be working hardest in the classroom? It shouldn't
Right.
be you as the teacher, it should be the students. So,
Right. So let's,
yeah, so let's
yeah,
set that up, and then, hey, you've got a day planned. Awesome.
yeah, exactly.
Or maybe two.
Exactly. Learn from the kids a little bit.
Yeah,
Let
there you
them
go.
teach us.
Yeah, and they enjoy it. So I am going to share my screen really quickly here and just show you a couple of resources that we'll plug into our page on inspiredclassroom.com/innovative-practices. But this is another page we have on our website. And it's around our Golden Eagle project that's sponsored by MPG Ranch. You'll see this is from our live day that Greg mentioned the other day. This is the researchers actually talking about the raptors and the raptor trackers and taking blood, and that was fun because they even caught a golden eagle live on live day. But there's a whole bunch of stuff on this page, and in a minute I'll show you this resource. But this is the Golden Eagle Google Earth project that is incorporated into our challenge. So in other words, if you do the Golden Eagle challenge, whether you're elementary, middle school, or high school, the kids will be using the Google Earth creator tool to explore that. And so this explains a little bit about each challenge, but I'll show you what that Google Earth thing looks like. And this is, you know, this is just amazing. So we've got I'm going to move this, sorry. So in these projects, you can have a little bit of text, a little bit of information about where the eagles fly. There's a video you can watch about the whole thing, and then you can actually zoom in, if I could learn how to use this correctly. Obviously, the kids need to do this, not me, right? But you can actually zoom in to where this is happening. And anyway, use the map, zoom in, zoom out. There we go. You can see where the golden eagles are moving, that the raptor trackers that go up to Alaska, and there's the raptor tracker right here. And I can take a look at eagles and bald eagles and golden eagles and all kinds of things. There you go. There's their tracking that Greg mentioned and stuff. So using these maps, using the real data that's happening is really exciting in that Golden Eagle project. So just wanted to quickly show you that project. So, and we will link all of the resources as well as a sheet on tips on how to use Google Earth. We'll link that on the Innovative Practices website. So check that out. So it's time to talk about our weekly challenges. And Greg, you have been having a lot of fun talking with students from Ireland and Montana. Tell us a little bit about some of those experiences.
Yeah, so last week or 2 weeks ago, when we did the student-to-student conversations, we've had some sessions where we have students in Montana and students in Ireland connecting, and we're facilitating those sessions, and it's fantastic. The engagement, probably the most prolific thing that I saw was when we had breakout rooms and we had groups of 3 to 4 students in Montana with 3 to 4 students in Ireland in multiple locations of their school, so they didn't have the ambient noise. When we came back together as a group out of the breakout rooms, where the breakout rooms were absolutely phenomenal, what was going on in those breakout rooms. But when we all came together, all those kids were in different places, and there wasn't a teacher standing over their shoulder in every place, and yet they were all engaged in what was going on. They didn't want to miss what the other group was talking about, and they couldn't wait to tell about their group and what their group had talked about in the breakout rooms and stuff. And one of the fascinating things that I learned was the fact that here in America, of course, a lot of the conversation, they were getting ready for St. Patrick's Day, which is a huge thing over there and a huge thing in many places in Montana and the United States, as the Irish population, where those Irish populations are strong. But we have this thing about the kids started talking about corned beef and cabbage. The Irish kids are saying, well, what are you talking about? What do you think? We figured out that the whole corned beef and cabbage thing is something that has just happened here in America. Not necessarily is it something that started in Ireland and came over, because some of those kids didn't have any idea what corned beef and cabbage was even.
I
So
love it.
yeah, it was just phenomenal experience. And we're continuing those the rest of the month and even the first weekend of April. So I'm sure there'll be more good stories to tell.
Oh yeah, and I think those kids will have the stories to tell for years to come. I know it's been a really landmark sort of thing for them, even the feedback we're getting now. So that is so awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean, the fact that a teacher in Ireland had kids who had to leave the session a little bit early to go do something else to prepare for their festivities for St. Patrick's Day, and then they actually came back. They couldn't wait to come back, and they wanted to catch the last part of the session. So that tells you that you know, kids are engaged in this when they want to come back to the classroom to, quote, be a part of the class, you know.
Anytime you can get kids who want to be in class, it's a win, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So what's our challenge for this week?
So I think our challenge ought to be just to see, I'm just challenging teachers this time just to get out and practice with Google Earth. And, or if you want some help, I'm challenging you to sign up for the Golden Eagle Challenge, and, or, well, it's first for Google Earth. Yeah, sign up for the Golden Eagle Challenge, and I'll help you get started with Google Earth. But otherwise, just take a few minutes and poke around in Google Earth and see what's available. That's the challenge this week.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I encourage you to email Greg always at greg@inspiredclassroom.com. And he will be glad to chat with you about how to integrate these tech tools into your classroom, how to get involved in using video more effectively and as a way to break down those walls in your classroom and let your students be part of the world. So we ask you that if you like this, to subscribe to our channel and follow us on all the Inspired Classroom social media platforms. And you can also hear amazing interviews with mentors at our Mentor Meetup podcast on the podcast platforms that are out there. So any final words, Greg?
No, just happy spring. We're actually getting a little bit of moisture here in Central Oregon, where I'm at now, and hopefully we'll be getting some more moisture this spring to keep things greening up.
Yes, that sounds wonderful. We're not quite there in Montana. So wherever you are, hope spring is on its way. And we will be doing these broadcasts every other week. So join us in not next week, but the week after, and we'll have another innovative practices topic for you. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.